It started like any other evening in Mumbai. Busy streets, crowded stations, people rushing home. But on November the 26th, 2008, that normal night quietly slipped into something far darker. Within hours, multiple locations across the city were hit in a coordinated assault that no one was prepared for. What followed was not just chaos, but a prolonged siege that stretched nearly 60 hours, trapping civilians, overwhelming responders, and shocking the entire world. This wasn't random. It was calculated, precise, and deeply unsettling in how it unfolded step by step. And the most chilling part? It didn't begin that night. Before we continue, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and let's dive into what really led to this. Mumbai had seen this pattern before, years before 26/11. The city had already faced a series of coordinated attacks that exposed growing vulnerabilities. On March 12, 1993, 13 coordinated bomb explosions killed 257 people. Then in 2003, multiple blasts struck crowded areas like Ghatkopar, Mulund, and Zaveri Bazaar, leaving dozens dead and over 150 injured in a single day. The pattern escalated again on July 11, 2006, when 7 bombs exploded within just 11 minutes on the suburban railway, killing 209 people and injuring more than 700. The threat wasn't hidden. It was evolving. Just weeks before the 2008 attacks, a warning had already been issued about a possible strike on the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel. Security was increased, but it didn't last. On November 18th, intelligence agencies intercepted a satellite phone call pointing to a seaborne attack. The pieces were there, but they didn't come together in time. Even when suspicious activity was noticed on the night of November the 26th, local fishermen who questioned a group of men were told to mind their own business. Their report to authorities didn't trigger immediate action. The danger wasn't invisible, it was underestimated. And while the city carried on as usual, somewhere else, the operation was already being perfected. Long before the first shot was fired in Mumbai, the groundwork had already been laid far away from the city. A group of recruits, estimated between 24 and 26 men, were taken to a remote camp in Muzaffarabad, where the process began. This wasn't rushed. It was structured in phases, each one more intense than the last. They started with psychological conditioning, exposed to imagery and narratives designed to shape their mindset. Then came basic combat training, known as Dora Arm, where they learned weapons handling and field movement. From there, only selected individuals advanced to Dora Khas, a more specialized program that included advanced weapons use, explosives, and survival tactics. But the most critical stage came at the end. A smaller group was chosen for commando-style training. This included marine navigation, swimming, and sailing. They trained on water bodies like the Mangla Dam Reservoir, preparing for a mission that would rely heavily on stealth from the sea. Out of all the recruits, just 10 were handpicked for the final operation. They weren't just trained to fight, they were given detailed blueprints of targets, including the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel, Oberoi Trident, Nariman House, and Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus. This wasn't random. Every move had already been planned, and once the preparation was complete, all that remained was getting them into the city unnoticed. The plan moved into motion days before Mumbai even realized what was coming. On November 21st, 10 men left Karachi by sea, beginning a 38-hour journey across the Arabian Sea without being detected. They carried more than just weapons. Each one had 6 to 7 magazines loaded with 30 rounds, around 400 extra rounds, 8 hand grenades, and an assault rifle. Somewhere along the way, they hijacked an Indian fishing trawler, the Kuber. 4 crew members were killed, and the captain was forced to guide them closer to Mumbai. When they reached within a few nautical miles of the city, on November 26th, the captain was also killed. From there, they switched to inflatable speedboats. At around 2010, they reached the shoreline near Colaba, splitting into smaller groups as they landed at different points, like Cuff Parade and Badwa Park. They carried large bags and moved quickly. When locals questioned them, they calmly said they were students and told others to stay out of their business. It was a quiet entry. No alarms, no immediate response. 10 men had just entered one of the busiest cities in the world, fully armed and unnoticed. And within minutes of setting foot on land, the operation shifted from silent movement to sudden, coordinated chaos. The silence didn't last long. On the evening of 26 November, the first attacks began almost simultaneously across South Mumbai. Around 21:30, two attackers entered Leopold Cafe, a crowded and popular spot. Within minutes, 10 people were killed and many others were injured. The sudden violence sent shockwaves through the area, but this was only the beginning. Not far away, two separate taxi explosions added to the confusion. The first blast at Wadibunda between 22:20 and 22:25 killed 3 people and injured around 15. Just minutes later, another explosion at Vilpal killed 2 more. These weren't random incidents. They were timed to stretch attention and create panic across different parts of the city. At the same time, the attackers had already split into multiple groups, each moving toward pre-selected targets. The scale of coordination became clear very quickly. This wasn't a single location under attack. It was a citywide operation. People didn't know where to run or what was happening. Reports were coming in from different places, each one more alarming than the last. Mumbai was no longer dealing with isolated incidents. It was under pressure from multiple directions at once. And as confusion spread across the streets, one location would soon face an attack that defined the night. At around 21:20, two attackers entered the crowded passenger hall of Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus. Armed with rifles and grenades, they opened fire without warning. In a matter of minutes, 58 people were killed and 104 others were injured. The scale of the attack turned one of the busiest railway stations into a scene of complete panic. But even in that moment, there were efforts to limit the damage. Railway announcer Vishnu Dattaram Zende alerted passengers to leave the station, a move that helped save many lives. As the attackers moved out, they continued firing on streets, targeting both civilians and police officers. 8 police personnel were killed during this phase. The attackers then made their way toward Karma Hospital. Inside, staff quickly locked patient wards, preventing further casualties. A team led by ATS Chief Hemant Karkar moved in pursuit, but their vehicle came under heavy fire. Karkar, along with Ashok Kamte and Vijay Salaskar, lost their lives in that encounter. The situation escalated further when the attackers hijacked a police vehicle, then later switched to a civilian car. Their movement finally stopped at a police roadblock where a gun battle took place. Its one attacker was killed. The other, Ajmal Kasab, was captured alive. While one attacker was now in custody, the crisis unfolding inside Mumbai's major buildings was far from over. As the situation escalated across the city, the most intense scenes began unfolding inside Mumbai's iconic buildings. At the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel, multiple explosions were reported, including in the lobby, elevators, and restaurant areas. Fires broke out, and thick smoke quickly spread through the structure. During the first night alone, around 200 hostages were rescued using ladders as firefighters worked under extreme conditions. At the Oberoi Trident, the situation was just as tense. Guests and staff were trapped inside as attackers moved through the building. By the time operations ended, 32 hostages had been killed there. The sense of uncertainty inside both hotels lasted for hours as people hid in rooms, unsure of what was happening outside their doors. Nariman House, a Jewish outreach center, became another critical site. Several residents were taken hostage. On the first day, 9 people were rescued from the building. However, the situation remained unstable, with ongoing exchanges and rising pressure on security forces. Across these locations, the attacks were not quick. They stretched over hours, turning into prolonged sieges. Civilians from different countries were caught in the middle, adding to the global impact. The city was now locked in a tense standoff, and with lives hanging in the balance, the final response was about to begin. As the sieges continued, India's national security guards moved in to take control of the situation. The operation to clear the remaining attackers was launched under the name Operation Black Tornado. By this point, multiple forces were already on the ground, including Marine commandos and rapid action units. But the scale of the crisis demanded a coordinated final push. At the Oberoi Trident, commandos worked through the building and eventually brought the operation to an end. 143 hostages were rescued from the hotel, and the attackers inside were neutralized. Nariman House required a different approach. Commandos were deployed from a naval helicopter, descending onto the roof, while snipers provided cover. After a long and difficult operation, the site was secured, but one NSG commando, Sergeant Gajendra Singh Bisht, lost his life. The Taj Mahal Palace Hotel proved to be the most complex. The situation stretched into November 29th with continuous gunfire, explosions, and fires reported inside. Room by room, the commandos cleared the building. By 8 o'clock on November 29th, the final operation was completed and the remaining attackers were eliminated. In total, around 300 people were rescued from the Taj and 60 from Nariman House. But even after the last shot was fired, the full impact of those 60 hours was only beginning to unfold. When the operations finally ended on November 29th, the scale of what had happened became clear. A total of 175 people were killed, including civilians, security personnel, and 9 of the attackers, while more than 300 were injured. Among the dead were 29 foreign nationals, showing how far the impact reached beyond India. One attacker, Ajmal Kasab, was captured alive, and his confession revealed key details about the operation, including how the attackers were trained and directed. The investigation uncovered links that stretched beyond borders, involving individuals like David Headley and Tahawa Rana, who played roles in planning and reconnaissance. The attacks also caused massive economic damage, estimated at over $1 billion, as hotels, businesses, and key areas were shut down. Flights were disrupted, and the city's daily life came to a halt. The political and diplomatic tension between India and Pakistan sharply increased, with both sides facing pressure and scrutiny. Inside India, the response led to major changes. Anti-terror laws were strengthened, and a new federal agency, the National Investigation Agency, was established. Security systems were upgraded, and new forces were created to respond faster in future crises. The attacks ended, but their impact didn't, because what happened over those 60 hours would continue to shape decisions, policies, and memories for years to come. What happened in Mumbai was not just a crisis that came and went. It changed how cities think about safety, response time, and preparation. In just a few hours, everyday places turned into scenes no one expected, and ordinary people were forced into extraordinary situations. The courage shown that night still stands as a reminder of how people respond when everything is on the line. But it also leaves questions behind. Could something like this have been prevented? And are major cities truly prepared for threats of this scale today? If you found this video informative, make sure to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching.